Come to me. Come to me. Hear my call. Come to me. Professor, my dreams grow darker. Does evil come from within us? Or from beyond?
He is coming.
He is coming to us.
He's coming.
Who is coming to you, my child?
We are here encountering the vampire. Nosferatu.
Hello and welcome back to the On the Slab Horror Show, the show that we bring to you each and every Friday night. Gentlemen, why do we do this on a Friday night?
Because Friday night is horror night. Woo!
You bet your ass it is. And look who's back, seeing as it's a Friday night. It's been a while. Master King, how are you?
Out in the hood, man. And yourself?
Yeah, same old, same old. That beard is glorious as ever.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you.
And OTS regular Ted, how are you, sir?
Oh, not too bad, yeah. There's, looking forward to this one since I've seen the film now, I have to say.
That Genji is spectacular. But as Ted said, he was looking forward to seeing this. This, for us, is the first review of the year. It's the first horror film released of 2025 in Ireland. I know the States got it on the 25th of December, which is a strange date to get it. But we got it on the 1st of January, so we're counting it as a 2025 movie. And if you don't like it, you can fuck off.
I mean, before you go on, what we do is as we used to say, we put these lists, best ofs, as being released in Ireland at that particular year.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what
all of Irish states.
Yeah.
But this was probably one of the most anticipated movies of the build-up of 2024, especially for the King there, seeing as the original is one of his favorites.
Oh yeah.
He watched as a kid, he did.
I was there for the film.
He was there in the cinema. Was it 1922? Yeah,
I was one of the best boys at the shoot.
He was Max Shrek.
So I must be a vampire.
But this is Nosferatu, the 2024/5 remake by Robert Eggers. Lads, might as well jump straight in.
Yeah.
It was Robert Eggers' movie. You knew what you were getting. It was going to be a dark gothic horror filled with fucking dread, terror, and that word that we haven't said in a while, Carl.
Atmosphere.
Right, let's jump into it. Ted, what do you think of it?
Yeah, I loved it. The one thing is I wouldn't put it as a. I know you said like it's a remake, and it kind of was because it's we're taking the Nosferatu film from years ago, but the way that this was done, I wouldn't even classify it as a remake. I'd classify it as its own film now at this point. Like I don't think. Yeah, it's kind of a reimagined version of it. We've obviously discussed this all offline a good bit, and you said yourself, Greg, that you kind of think it's a blend of the original Nosferatu and
92 Dracula.
92 Dracula, which it is and that's the thing. They've kind of taken a bit of the lore from everywhere and compounded it all into one. The first thing I thought when I came out of this film was that is one of the best shot films I've seen in years. Forget about the story, forget about the acting. Just the camera work itself was unbelievable in this.
Yeah, that's Robert Eggers all over.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what he does. He could shoot a fucking tree growing over 50 years and it'd look awesome.
But like even the very opening scene where we see her in her bedroom and you see the
The curtains or the
like the kind of net curtain,
And the
and there's
silhouette.
there's nothing in it, and then as it stretches out, there's a silhouette. Then it blows back. There's nothing there.
Oh, it's
Like
so
it's just
good.
it's
deadly.
just done so well. And that sets the tone for the entire film. Like as you said, Gothic Robert Eggers, like, that's his style. If I went to do a film and it wasn't Gothic, I'd be like, well, he definitely
Yeah.
didn't shoot this. Like whoever put his name on this slide.
I'm gonna
Um,
have a look if he does have something like that. But as far as I know, yeah, they're all kind of similar like that.
yeah, it's the style he likes, and there's
Yeah.
a reason he likes it because he
Yeah.
does it very fucking well.
I mean, he has. He only. I don't. I think he only has 4 films.
He's got
And
the
that's
Lighthouse,
yeah.
the
Northman.
Northman, which isn't Gothic, but that
No.
was Viking-esque. And that was my
You'd
favorite
still
movie.
know
of
it's his
22.
style. You know, you'd still know it's his style.
Yeah,
That was my favorite movie of
23.
22. Oh, 22 was it?
22.
When it came out.
22 or 23, I can't remember.
It was so good.
But
Well, no, he's got a couple of shorts, but they all look
kind
semi.
of Gothic.
He has a Hansel and Gretel, which I imagine is going to be dark as fuck.
Yeah, I'd say that sticks very close to the original Hansel and Gretel story.
The Witch, which
Love it.
was
Oh.
phenomenal.
Yeah,
The Lighthouse, which was extremely strange, but was awesome.
Yes.
The Northman, unreal. And then this.
yeah, this lived up to the expectations. Very often you go into a film that you've been looking forward to for close to a year, and you're just kind of like, that wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be.
Beetlejuice for me.
Yeah, but like this did live up to it, and as I said, like first of all, the way it was shot, and then the acting in it is just absolutely brilliant. Like I don't think anyone puts a foot wrong in this in terms of their acting. I think everyone plays their role absolutely brilliantly.
Smashed it, yeah. Everyone, and especially for the likes of Lily Rose Depp, which is her first major film. She absolutely crushed it. Now, I've seen a couple of people saying online she overacted some of it, like the scene where she's like as if she was like a robot when she was being, say, under the spell, possessed kind of way, where she's like bending weird and she's like.
That's probably how she was directed. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely, and like you've seen it in The Witch.
Yeah.
It's the similar style. I thought it was quite well done for her as well.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
she's not going to have a better teacher than her alpha
No,
anyway.
exactly.
Yeah, I didn't think it was overacted, to be
No.
honest. Like I suppose it's a difference. Some people feel that when you're doing those kind of possessed things where your body's being kind of like stretched out and stuff like that, that there should be screaming and thrashing and stuff. Yeah, and that's not the way they went with it. It's just a different way of doing it.
I think when Eggers is doing something, he has a style all of his own, really.
Yeah.
And I do think if he's retreading water that's been tread before, he tries to find some way to make it different, a little bit different. So maybe what some people are classing as overacting is something that he sees in a way to make it a little bit different to what people would expect. You know.
Absolutely. Now,
yeah.
I think it's kind of weird actually when you think back to Retrotainment Recast a couple of years ago. Before this was even announced, we were talking about Nosferatu after one of the episodes, and we came up with the idea, and I'd said he's probably the director that I picked to do it. I can't see anyone better.
Better, I suppose it's like it depends on what style you want to go with.
But yeah, but for that style, the way that it should be.
Well, I suppose there's the way that it was, like the kind of classic way it was done, which the way Eggers did it. But if you were like you want to go kind of bloodbathy, like really gore bloodbath, he's not the man you'd go with. Do you know what I mean?
No.
You might go
And
with
in fairness,
Thai Western,
yeah,
something like that. If you were going to go like this is just going to be like a
love Thai
like if you were going to go a really brutal vampire, like this guy is just terrorizing the town, absolute like bloodbath night after night. That you'd probably go with someone like Ty West. Do you know what I mean?
Tarantino.
Yeah, well, Tarantino wouldn't touch something like this. This wouldn't be his.
See, it also factors in the time that it's been made, as in what year. So who's available at the time. So if we were talking about who could do it today, apart from Eggers, you have to think about who else is out there and who's doing whatever, as you say, like Toy or whatever, you know.
But that man's just a fucking. He's one of the most underappreciated directors in Hollywood.
Yeah, we love him.
Yeah.
On the slab, love him. Just so he knows
Absolutely.
if he's watching
Throw that
this.
there. Shout out to Ty West.
Come on the show. You're more than welcome.
Yeah, as you said, actually, though, King, the time that this is set in, which is, I think it was the 1800s.
Yeah.
The costumes and the looks of people here were absolutely brilliant. You know, you had the men basically fully
Dappered up to bits.
like suited and booted, but the two main characters, that's how they are. But if you look, like, you know, when they're out on the street and it's just like the general population, they're not in. Like, some people are still well dressed, but it's only the wealthy that are well dressed
Yeah,
like that.
the others
All the
in
rest of
rags.
them are in like grubby rags and stuff.
Yeah.
Which is the way it would have been, and like even that is great because they didn't go, let's get a really nice, well tailored suit. Like, yeah, like let's not get like really nice suits that are real like flashy and stuff, because that's not what they would have had back then. Like, a suit was just expensive back then. Any suit was expensive back then. So to own a suit meant that you were, you know,
well
there
oiled.
was, yeah, like you had a lot of money. You were a big deal around where you were. So that's what they went with, like very basic sort of suits. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm sure the suits cost a fucking mint to get, but they looked basic.
Yeah. The what I will say for Eggers as well, he's so particular from every film I've seen. In every minute detail, has to be perfect.
Yeah,
It's almost OCD like
Yeah.
with him, I think. You know,
Yeah.
he's that
And
particular.
I'd love to be able to pick his brain.
Oh God, yeah.
Just like not even for the show. Say to even
Oh.
have a conversation. I'd
Yeah.
love to pick his brain to see what he goes with
Mhm.
and how he comes up with the ideas.
Yeah.
Because he's also someone I've not even heard on a podcast before. So
Yeah.
but like going back to the design, I know they were nominated for 4 Oscars. I think.
Great, isn't it?
In terms of, I think it's makeup and hair design, or makeup and design.
And costumes as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
And it probably won't win that because it, like, going on costumes, as much as they did it very well,
Yeah,
they're
it's
not.
just a
They're not.
suit.
Yeah, they're not overly elaborate costumes. Like, now, I suppose if you're counting Nosferatu as a costume,
Which I probably think it does fall into that category.
then they could win because the Nosferatu costume itself is brilliant.
Yeah,
But that doesn't tend to fall into,
it's normally special
Costume.
effects or something.
yeah. And just as you said, like, obviously Robert Eggers, he's so particular, and we were saying what other director could do it. Now, I don't know if he'd be in the type of person to direct this sort of film, but someone else who's also hugely particular is David Fincher,
Oh,
who, if you watched,
so slow. Oh
no,
my God.
don't get me wrong, it'd be very slow, but in terms of people who are very particular, because he was directing Mindhunter on Netflix.
That's right.
And everyone wondered why they didn't do a third series and why they didn't finish out the story they were telling, because it was quite popular. And the reason is that he refused to change the way he was filming it. So if you, like, I don't know if you boys have ever watched it, but
I have, yeah. It's brilliant.
The other way, it's really grainy, and everything looks like it's from the decade that it's meant to be from, the 1960s sort of. He insists on that, so he will shoot, reshoot, and then like in the studio he will do a lot of work to make sure nothing looks like it shouldn't, nothing looks like it was shot in high def, and it was costing a fortune to make it. That's why it was cancelled, because he was so particular about it. He was like, I am not giving up on that.
Oh, fair play.
So similar to Eggers. Now, Eggers obviously had a bigger budget and things like that, but it's that sort of commitment to your work is how you get these things across the line. It's why Robert Eggers probably isn't directing a lot of films, because people are like, it's going to cost so much to let him do the way he wants to do it.
I believe.
Or himself is picking and choosing what he wants to do.
There's probably an element of that, yeah.
I believe they've greenlit a sequel, so because it did so well.
Nosferatu already.
Yeah, I'm joking.
I'd be like, I wouldn't be surprised
It's
if
the
they
usual thing that they do. You know what I mean?
I wouldn't be surprised if they greenlit him to do another film, not Nosferatu, but like a Dracula one maybe or something.
as of right now, his next project has been announced already. So he's doing a 13th century werewolf movie.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
Yeah, and that's going to be great as well.
Due out Christmas Day 2026.
Loves Christmas Day releases.
I don't know what the fuck that is.
I think it's to do with the studios or someone from one of the studios. I heard about it the other day, and they like releasing on Christmas Day or something like that.
Do cinemas even open on Christmas Day in the States?
They must do in the States. Yeah.
So they probably don't. But the thing is that if you release around then, how many other films are being released around then? And in particular, how many other films in this genre are being released around then?
I know a fella who had to see it on Christmas Day over there.
Yeah, so there must be a few of them open, but yeah, like how many films are being released, and how many films of this genre are being released around then? Most of them would have hit in October, November, so that could be part of the thinking. Do you know what I mean?
Right, lads. I want to bring up a big point here. Right.
Well, I have a big point. You didn't ask me what I thought of it.
I was getting to that, you dickhead. I was getting to that. That was the big point. I was gonna say King's favorite movie, or one of them, is Nosferatu, the original one. So, what was your thoughts on this? But you rudely interrupted me, so now you can go fuck yourself.
So I'll come back in here. I don't really know what King has to say.
Just jumping in here. Go on, King. Let us know.
Yeah. So, well, if you remember when I went to see it originally, I liked it. No, that was not like the original. No. When I went to see this, I came out and I was like, it's a bit long, but it turned out that I did say I did like it, but I want another watching of it just to give it a proper verdict, like, you know. I watched it, and I'm going on the second viewing here because I fucking love it.
Is it better than the original for you?
In some ways, yes, but in terms of when the first one came out when I was only like 2, it was original of its time. It was very groundbreaking. Yeah. It's so you can't take that away from the original. As you all know, I'm not a big fan of remakes or reboots or whatever, but this is done fucking amazing. It's done really good. As you all know as well, I love Robert Eggers. I love his attention to detail, like you've said already. I love the fact that he uses the dialogue from the time that he's filming in. He goes to that amount of detail. So I can't wait for the werewolf film from the 13th century. Goodness knows what they're going to be talking like, lads.
We be fucked.
Yeah, something like that, you know, of the 5 o'clock, of the o'clock, you know what I mean? Yeah. But I loved it. Now, and I was watching it again the second time. I don't know, the cinema I was in Liffey Valley, maybe I was overtired, but it was the screen would seem a bit more darker than normal. So when I watched it the second time, I was able to see a lot more of what I needed to see. I'm not saying like it was it was stupid, like, so I was able to appreciate more aspects of it the way you would probably have expected me to appreciate them. You know what I mean? So yeah, I love it. I just wanted to get my take on it up to speed with you before we go any further. Like, I love it.
Well, that's where I was going with it, because obviously the first one's such a big one for you. Let me ask you an important question: is it better than the Klaus Kinski one?
That also has a special place in horror film as well. It's a really well done one. Yeah, I think it's better though. I do think it's better. I like Bill Skarsgård as a character actor, and I wasn't mad about Klaus Kinski, to be honest with you.
He was okay though.
In that he's good, but in some of his other things, the few things I've seen him in, it wasn't overly thing. But I could tell you at least 2 or 3 films of Bill Skarsgård that I love, like, you know what I mean. So, and that's not recency bias. That's just I like what he does with his characters, you know.
Yeah.
So
I will say his voice work for this was just off the charts.
Amazing. Absolutely. Yeah. For me, that's when I heard about the preparation that he had done to get this. I was dying to fucking hear it. So even if I was half asleep, like when I heard that voice, I was like, oh yeah, there we go.
The eyes open, the ears prick up, and you're like,
yeah.
Ooh.
And it was. I mean, he worked with a soprano or something like that, or like a classically trained person to drop his voice down 2 or 3 octaves. So
impressive what he done with it.
Yeah.
I have to say he's a bit of a strange case as an actor, because most people when they get in as they're coming up in acting, they might go into horror as a way to break into the industry.
Yeah.
But he's kind of gone the opposite way, because he'd done films, he'd made a name for himself.
Yeah.
Like Bill Skarsgård had a name. Now part of it is his surname.
His
Don't
family
get me
name,
wrong.
yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Some of it's that, but he'd done other films. Like he was already on the rise, and then having already been on the rise, went, "Do you know what? Actually, I'm going to get into horror." Whereas it's usually the other way around. People get into horror, get a bit of a name for themselves, and get out of it. He started making a name for himself, and then got into horror.
What you'll find usually with the names that break into horror and then move on to become bigger are usually females.
Yeah.
It is, but very rare do you see somebody go to horror from
I know what you
drop
mean.
back into it once they've made a name for themselves,
Yeah.
and not
Well,
they might dip their toe in and do one or two, but very rarely do they go in and then start knocking out horrors.
whilst I agree to a point, he had somewhat of a name. I think he was living in the shadow of Alex Skarsgård's name. He was obviously living in the shadow of his dad.
Yeah.
So he'd come in and he'd done a couple, right? So he had a decent name. He was offered Pennywise, right?
Yeah.
He took it. The movie absolutely smashed it in the box office.
Oh yeah.
Right? So his star jumped to no end. But he then started to become typecast, right? So he'd gone into the guy who now does reboots, right? He's done 3 of them already in his career.
Yeah.
Or is it 4?
I thought it was 3.
Well, yeah, sorry.
Are we counting it as?
That's what I was
one?
going to say. Yeah, 1. It should be 1, yeah, rather than 2. So he's done 3 reboots already in his career. 2 of them have been heavily make-up or CGI. Right?
Yeah.
And the Crow was destined to fail. Wasn't a bad movie, just destined to fail. Nosferatu was top drawer, and I think it's going to bring his acting level to a new height for him, because now people can see what he can do with his voice, so he'll probably start picking up more voiceovers. I thought he was really, really good in Barbarian.
He was brilliant in that. Yeah.
And that movie, as I said, I've said it many times, not many movies swerve me quite like that one did.
Especially with a big name like that.
Yeah. I was like, what the fuck? It wasn't just him, it had fucking Justin Long in it as well.
Oh, and but the fact that he was killed off kind of midway through the film?
Yeah, 40 odd minutes in.
Always.
Yeah.
So it was no, Bill Skarsgård was killed off.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but Justin Long is.
I know.
Justin Long's not going to be okay, lads. apart from Drag Me to Hell, he was okay in that. He survived in that.
Yeah, but outside of that, it's
it's not good.
This is a guy who's dying.
He probably gets that written into his contract now. That's as a joke.
It's a shame. He could be close to catching Sean Bean, but he's nowhere near it because he doesn't die in anything else.
No, Sean Bean died in everything.
Everything. You bastard.
No. Yeah. But no, this shot brilliantly, and again, listen, we've talked a lot about Bill Skarsgård there and how well he's done. He's he went into a lot of prep work for it, dropping his getting his voice worked so that he could drop it. The makeup, which would have taken hours. It would have taken so long to get that done, but he obviously doesn't mind doing that. We talked Lily Rose Depp, but that's not even brushing on the acting within this. Do you know what I mean? I don't think I could name anyone that I think put a foot wrong in this. And that's not even just the main characters, the people that you would kind of, think about.
Well, I'll tell you what, lads. Everybody was top drawer. Aaron Taylor-Johnson was phenomenal as a side character, which you didn't expect him to be, having shot this side by side with Craven. And his star completely on the rise and at an all-time high right now. To play a side character to the point he did, Nicholas Hoult was fantastic.
He's another one that's knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, he's a great actor, isn't he?
Yeah, he's brilliant, and he's knocked it out of the park in everything I've seen him in. Like I don't think I've seen him in anything where I'm like,
I
shit.
actually thought he was gonna not fail as an actor, but never make it when I seen Warm Bodies. I was like, yeah, he's not going anywhere.
No, like
I was wrong.
yeah, the lad's done brilliantly, but like obviously Defoe was
He,
immense here.
I
But
just left him out intently because he stole the show for the military seals that he was in.
Yeah, but like they're all the kind of big names. Like I know Aaron Taylor Johnson's kind of a side character in it, and but he's still a big name. Do you know what I mean? But like when you think about, you know, the guy who was the like the puppet master, like he was the puppet of Nosferatu. He's the one who brought him.
Canuck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He was brilliant as well. Like
He's bollock naked.
but like he was brilliant as the, you know, originally as he just seemed like the
He's
straight.
He's Renfield. Yeah.
No, but originally he seemed like the straight man. You know, it was just right. You're going over and you're bringing these papers to this person over here, this wealthy guy who's going to buy this house that we have, and he just seems like a normal bank manager. Do you know what I mean? Like, and he was that, and then you see him in the scene where he's got the pentagram and all on the ground, and then there's the, you know, when he's down in the cellar and he's like cracking the bird's neck and stuff like that. They're all subtly, like, obviously the first one's majorly different, but like he subtly devolves further and further and further into madness. Yeah. Like bit by bit, like step by step, he gets worse and worse and worse. And he just plays it so well, because there's at no point you're like, oh, that doesn't seem believable that he'd do that. And then like he escapes, he's running down the street and stuff. Like he's an absolute madman. And at no point,
funny.
Yeah, but at no point are you like, how did he get to there? Like you believe the story he told as he walked along, and he's kind of a forgotten character. Like when you talk about all the characters in it, he's one of the ones you forget.
Simon McBurney is his name.
Yeah.
He's
a few things like that.
Yeah, he's a good actor. Yeah.
Yeah,
but the one I
Emma
like.
Corrin is the Aaron Taylor Johnson's wife. I think she played her role brilliantly as well. She's only in it for little bits and pieces, but she does brilliantly as the friend to Lily Rhodes Dess's Ellen, and she plays that well, and she plays the mother of her children well, the wife of the guy who's in charge of the shipping. Like she plays that role very well, and she's only on the screen minimally. Like nobody puts a foot wrong in this.
Even your man who plays the doctor, Ralph Ineson. Ineson.
Brilliant.
He's another one of Eggers' kind of group of actors that he uses. Yeah. So
just brilliant.
Do you know what else I was just thinking there when you said Simon McBurney? He was in The Conjuring 2 as well.
Yeah.
He was the guy they brought over, Morris Grossman. He was one of the hunters. So like he's got himself into another huge horror film.
Yeah. I never know what could happen for him then after that.
Might end up here with the boys.
Yeah. He's always welcome.
I'll tell you what though, like the Eggers movies never really have any light-hearted moments, but this had it for a little bit. And then
there was a few bits that you're just like, that's a bit funny, like.
Yeah. Now, spoiler alert, right? People do die in this film.
Mm-hmm.
And even I went to a point of going, Jesus. Remember when he comes in and the wife's in bed and she hears the kids screaming?
Yeah.
I was like, good Lord.
Yeah, like he doesn't,
he doesn't beat around it, does he? He just goes straight in for it and it's game over.
But I mean, like Nosferatu he's an animal, like.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like we don't really see him in his animalistic state a whole lot. We kind of see, he's kind of portrayed as an intimidating man more than anything. You don't see him as an animal a lot of the time. You get the idea of it when he's on the boat, but you don't get to see him do that. But he has that tendency in him. Like he is a destructive force. Absolutely. And that's what I was saying. If you'd gone with someone like Ty West, you wouldn't have got this type of film. You would have seen more of that part of him. Do you know what I mean?
Would have seen more old people having sex too.
Quite possibly, yeah. He does like that. But you would have seen a more brutal, like more of the brutality of him rather than the story of him.
We've seen obviously the 92 Dracula. He's extremely suave.
Yeah.
and you don't see much of it really.
This guy's not very suave though. Do you know what I mean? Like
guy's in
he's
bits.
He's a fucking reanimated corpse, essentially. That's what he is.
but it's not even just the way he looks. Like his demeanor isn't suave either.
Yeah.
It's intimidating. It's powerful. Do you know, like there's
he had power before this.
yeah, like he's telling you that you're sit down there.
Yeah.
Address me by my proper title now.
Yeah,
that, that first scene when you see him when he's standing in the courtyard, you're late.
Yeah.
You just be like, you're just like, oh shit, I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
And he,
Sorry, boss.
like Bill Skarsgård's obviously a big guy as well, like in terms of height, and it works so well here because he's just this big looming presence.
And he's not even standing straight. That's the scary thing.
Yeah.
He's like hunched, he's like up straight, and then he's like, yeah.
Yeah,
so his spine is like that.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. Like just every part of it is just, and like even when he goes to when Nicholas Holt's character goes to the little town just outside of it, the like with all the Romanians in it.
Yeah.
And they're going and they're giving a gift to essentially make sure like, hey, leave our town alone. Here's a sacrifice, and leave us be. Because he walks in on that, they all just leave. They're just like, fuck him, he can stay there for the night. We're not fucking staying around here. Like, we're gone. Yeah.
Now, I don't know, right? Do they leave, right? Or is it implying that they're all dead?
No, I think they leave because the place is all cleaned up. That like,
yeah, they move on. That's what
they moved on. They were like, this is bad juju. Like, he's after seeing your man. Like, let's get the fuck. Because they tried to kill the vampire. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, they do kill the vampire.
And they are obviously like, you know what? That's the best we're gonna get because he's fucking going up to your man. Like,
we're bouncing.
Let's get out of here. We've done the best we can. Let's get moving.
But yeah,
what I have to just bring in is, and I don't know if we just kind of brushed past it by design or not, and if we did, I apologize, Greg. The whole thing with the moustache.
Oh no, that was coming.
I knew I had a feeling. Sorry, I jumped the gun again.
No, the look was the next bit I was bringing up. The look of him. Obviously, we said he's a big frame and he's kind of hunched over, but he looks powerful.
Yeah.
But the mustache, the mustache. It's the
was
biggest talking point of the film.
Exactly, yeah. Now, like a friend of mine, she's a huge film buff and a huge horror buff, and she loved it, but she was like, but that big fucking porn star mustache, what the fuck? Like, but then when you hear Eggers talking about it, he based the design on a nobleman of the time, which would have had like some sort of a mustache like that, and the outfit that he wore and all. And so when I looked at it like that, I was hoping for Max Shrek Part 2. That's what I was hoping for, obviously.
Yeah.
But what I got then, and when I initially got over the fact that the mustache was there, and I was like, actually, yeah, it really, really fucking works well.
Yeah.
I liked it. I thought it might have been a bit too long, but I liked it. I didn't like it when I first seen it, and then it grew on me quite quickly. I was like, you know what? Because I watched it with Zoe, and I says to her, I was like, the mustache. She's like, you need to get over the mustache. I was like, I don't know if I like it or not.
See, I think it works on that character. Like, I think if it wasn't there, you wouldn't miss it. But I think it being there does add something. Like, I don't think you'd miss it if it wasn't.
It look a bit more, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think it allows you to
focus on his face or focus on the body. Where now you've seen the mustache, you're like, goo.
Yeah. That being said, though, Aaron Taylor Johnson has a magnificent mustache in it as well.
Man has a mustache in everything.
He's awesome. A beautiful beast. He really is.
No, but like, the time it's set in, the 18th century, like the mustaches like that were a big thing. Like,
yeah.
So it made sense for them all to, like, for a lot of people to just be walking around with them. Like, it's just another attention to detail that he was like, right, let's get this, let's make sure we have this.
What did you think of the way he fed from kind of here?
Heart.
Yeah, right. You know the way we've obviously seen him going right just for the neck.
So,
what did you think of that?
This is something I've seen in another vampire movie before, and in that film they say, I can't remember the name of the film, but they turn around and say the blood is fresher when it comes from the heart because it hasn't been pumped around the body yet. So That's why they go there. And if they go too deep at the jugular, they kill you. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
see, the neck thing was always just because it's an easy point of
Yeah.
access. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a part of the body that's very rarely covered, and you know it's easy to get to. Do you know what I mean?
There's
Like
an
if
intimacy to bite in the heart.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And that's another thing. The way he does it, like he gets right up on top of the person,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that like you see, he takes big huge gulps, and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
it's there's
Like
something
sucking their
different.
soul
Yeah,
out.
something different about it. It's
Yeah.
fucking
I don't dislike it. I think it in a way it seems more brutal.
Yeah,
yeah.
I
because
mean, like going
you're not going
straight
to
in it.
die straight away.
It's
No, you see,
food.
you wouldn't die straight away if it was at the neck either. But it's just it looks more brutal. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just a bite on the neck looks. It's like, geez, that's a bit rough. Like, and obviously if they zoom in on the big fangs and like a real like clamping down on the neck, it'd look brutal. But the idea of it's not going to just be there's an exposed bit of skin. Let me bite that. It's an easy way to get blood. The idea of it being let me get right to the very core, like to the heart, like through the chest, crack open the ribs, like that just seems like a more brutal way of doing it.
I
I
was
mean,
all for it now, I will say.
oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
I don't dislike it at all. It's a
Yeah.
different way of doing it, and it's more brutal, so
Well,
it
anything like
fits
that
the character.
anything like that would please our collective tastes, I think, because
Yeah,
we like
something
it's the way we
original.
like. Yeah, it's the way we like. Now, I know I like Twilight and all that, but this generally is the kind of vampires that we like, you know.
Yeah, 30 Days a Night style, not giving a
Oh,
fuck.
the best.
Yeah,
Yeah, and see, like when you think of 30 Days a Night, right? They're not drinking for sustenance. They're not drinking to stay alive. They're just like unruly, like
animals.
brutal animals.
Unruly.
And they don't go for necessarily the neck. Like you'll see a lot of people get bitten on the neck, but they don't necessarily go for the neck. If a hand is out there, they'll bite a hand. If an arm is sticking out, they'll bite that. Like they'll just go for whatever they can get.
Yeah.
This is more in line with that, but it's also extraordinarily methodical. He's not just biting whatever comes. Like if he has to get somebody and make them be on the floor, make sure he gets to the heart, that's what he'll do.
Yeah.
But it's not just what's easy. That's what he's going for, and that's what he's going for solely. Like none of this, like, oh well, it'd just be easier if I just sneak up behind this guy and bit him in the neck, like.
Right, lads. Got one quick question before we finish up for each of you, right?
Okay.
And then we'll give the ratings after that. Favorite kill? Go, Ted.
Jesus, I don't know. Quite liked the one where, like, Defoe's one where, you know, he's burning the whole building, like with the rats and all in it. I quite liked that as a kill thing.
It's a good scene. Very poignant scene.
Yeah,
obviously Drac is known to be in charge with rats as well. So
yeah, shows his madness. Like he was committed to the cause. I'm gonna kill this thing. Like I thought that was very good.
Oh,
but
he was all in, yeah.
it's very hard then to look past the final kill, or two kills, I suppose.
The ultimate sacrifice.
Yeah, very hard to look past that as well. Do you know what I mean?
King.
Yeah, without stating the obvious, the end scene but that's just fantastic. But I love that when he kills the kids. I do love that. I just think it's deadly. It's vicious.
It's great. That's where I was going.
Yeah.
Now, the one thing I will say is, like, obviously, we've all watched a lot of movies. When that happened, I had turned to Zoe and said, "So Beauty killed the Beast," and he knew himself when he looked up and seen that it was daylight, that it was over.
He just said, "Ah, fuck it all."
He was obsessed with her, and he got what he wanted.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And she gave the ultimate sacrifice to save the world, really.
Yeah, and
so
that's what the prophecy was. Like that was the only way to defeat him. You know what I mean? Like somebody had to make that sacrifice.
Yeah. So essentially, Beauty killed the Beast.
But she brought him back, as we kind of hear in the story. This had happened before.
Yeah.
And she brought him back. with like when she was a kid, like her
Falling out for him.
like her melancholy and like wanting to die and things like that, and like wanting a way out of the family that she was in. Like she brought him back, so it had to be her. It couldn't be like that's why he's obsessed with her.
Yeah.
Right. As I said, that was the last question of the night. Now, let's go. Ratings. Ted, what you got out of 5?
Yeah, full 5 for me. Like I loved it. Like I came out with a cinema, and obviously I didn't want to talk too much because not everyone had seen it. But
I was
yeah,
the
like
last one to see it, surprisingly.
yeah, but I got out of the cinema and I was like, that was phenomenal. Like the only thing I would say against it is it does feel long, which I would sometimes be like, that's a point against a film.
All his
But
movies do.
but normally when I watch something, I'm like, that feels long. I'm like, yeah, it felt long, and you could have cut this and you could have cut that. I struggle to think of any scenes or any parts of this film that I'd be like, without the film would have been better with that cut out, or if that wasn't there, it wouldn't have made an impact to the rest of the film. All of it, I feel, was necessary. The film felt a bit long, but I was never bored watching it either.
Mm-hmm.
Same. I would have said the same about that. Now, there's not much I'd cut out. The runtime did feel long, but every Eggers movie feels like that.
Yeah.
I think
I
it's
don't know
just
how. I don't know how he does it.
It's the pacing. It's the way he paces his films.
Yeah.
There's short bursts of action, and then a lot of it is it's like
Great
story
lyrics,
and
or great script writing.
yeah, it's story writing and world building. Do you know what I mean? Like he builds the world, like he gives you so much information, so it feels long, but it immerses you in the film. So that'd be the only negative I have about it. But even with that, I'd still put this as a 5, because all of that added to how good the film actually ends up being.
Yeah. King?
Again, given how much I adore the original, and the way the original is essentially an adaptation of Dracula, so this I see this new one as a reimagining of the original film. So for that, and I'm not giving it this score lightly. Because I have, like, as I said to you, I have to watch it. I had to watch it a second time before I could give me final verdict on it. I'm going with 5 out of 5. I'm going out 5 out of 5. Yeah, absolutely. I loved it. Every aspect of it, I loved it. And yeah, I understand what you're saying. It did feel a bit long, especially for the content that they're going from the original, you know. And so that aside, like, yeah, I've very little to give out about. So yeah,
Nice.
5 out of 5, and I don't give remakes 5. I rarely do, if any, So
That's because you're a biased asshole.
shut your mouth, leave me alone.
It's going for a clean sweep here, boys. 5s around the house.
Excellent.
The score, the camera work, the acting, the
Everything.
action, the storytelling, the cinematography. What more do you want from a movie?
Yeah.
As the boy said, pacing maybe, but that's Eggers' style. We can't change that. Doesn't matter if the movie was 4 hours long; it's still only 4 hours. Might feel like 6.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but like this film isn't any longer than a lot of films that come out now. Like most
2
horror
hours
films
10.
are about 2 hours, 2.5 hours, or whatever now. Do you know what I mean? So it's not like the actual film was long. It's just the way he paces it. Like all the other horror films, they might have slow moments, but there's a lot of fast-paced action in them. There's no fast-paced action in this. It's all methodical. It's a very methodical film.
I can
Like,
give
you
you
don't want it, like you said, King, when you went to see it the first time, you were already wrecked from work. It's not the sort of film you can sit down and be like, I'll watch this and it'll keep me going the whole way through. Whereas if you sit down and watch like say a Scream or something, it's the same length, but it's so much more fast paced. There's so much more action. You set like that'd keep you stimulated, keeps your eyes open. Whereas this, not that it's putting you to sleep, but it doesn't hold your attention the way that something like that does. That's the style of the film. Like he's building a world. Like he's giving you so much more information than you need.
Yeah.
But knowing that information makes the film better.
So a perfect example of that is just before we go on. So the original, I'll just give you one scene, for example, when Cutter goes to the castle for the first time. So in the original Soylent film, it's literally a couple of minutes, if even. In the '92 Dracula, It's a little bit longer than that.
It's about 10 in that one.
Yeah.
At
So
best.
it's even longer in Egerton, and again,
Oh, it's a good half an hour.
yeah, easily, yeah.
Yeah.
But while it seems long, and that's if you compare it to the other two, it still makes sense.
Yeah.
And
And
as I
it
said,
shows more detail.
yeah, and as Ted said, it's in the perfect way. It's his pacing. It's like The Witch. The Witch is slow as fuck,
But
but
the witch never picks up
it's
off
so
1 mile
full
an
of
hour.
dread and so full of doom, and that's what this is like. You know.
Yeah, that's the way he shoots them. Like I went into it knowing
What to
this will
expect.
feel long. Like
Yeah.
I knew the film would feel long going in watching it.
Mhm.
So like that's the only negative I really have to say about it. I have very little else that I'd say negatively about it.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's the best way to leave it off. There's fuck all bad to say about it.
Absolutely.
Simple as that. It's got fives around the house.
Yeah,
I
if you
don't.
haven't got a chance to see it, fucking get into the cinema and
Yeah.
watch it.
I genuinely don't think we're gonna get another horror film this year that will get fives around the board.
No.
No,
Or
I'd be
I'd be
surprised.
surprised. I would be very surprised.
Mm.
But I think that's where we're gonna leave it. It's a 5-star mix, and we're gonna leave it in the way we leave it every single Friday night, folks. In the words of the great George A. Romero, stay scared.
Woo!